الأعزاء، كيف حالكم اليوم؟ إن شاء الله في هذه الحلقة سوف نكمل بعض التمارين من قسم reading، يعني the reading section and the title of zoo conservation programs. This is the same actually text that we worked on last time. Today we're going to do a different type of questions, and that is multiple choice questions. So we will start with these questions 23 to 25. Now here what we have to do is to choose the appropriate letters A to D and write them in boxes 23, 25 on your answer sheet. Now here, since we have here 3 and they didn't say anything about it, so you must choose one only. Now I start first as usual with the questions, not with the text. So the question says, what were the objectives of the WZCS document? So I need here to think about the objectives, the goals, why we have WZCS, and of course this is the keyword WZCS. Now here we have a number of choices, so let's go through them very quickly. To improve the caliber of zoos worldwide, to identify zoos suitable for conservation practice, to provide funds for zoos in underdeveloped countries, or to list the endangered species of the world. Now here, we're just gonna go back to the text, of course, and look for where WZCS first, where it was first mentioned. So I just go back to the text. Now I can see WZCS here. I can see it here as well. Now this G letter is misspelled, actually it's a typo. So I look here and I can't see it a little bit further. So I have to go through this text and look for or read through and try to understand what they're talking about. So if I want to start from the beginning of the same sentence or a little bit before, so I just go a little bit back or up, I would say 8 years later, a series of world conferences took place entitled etc. breeding endangered species, and from this point onwards, conservation became the zoo's community's buzzword. This commitment has now been clearly defined in the World Zoo Conservation Strategy, which, although an important and welcome document, does seem to be based on unrealistic optimism about the nature of the zoo industry. So here we understand that it is about conservation, about protecting animals. So let's see here the choice that we have. Okay, A, to improve the caliber of zoos worldwide, or caliber, sorry. We're not sure about that, so probably it might be wrong. And because I didn't find anything directly talking about this one here. Now B, to identify zoos suitable for conservation practice. Well, this sounds more, this sounds probably closer. Okay, C, to provide funds for zoos. They talk about money, no, at all. So C is definitely wrong. A is definitely wrong. Let's look at D. To list the endangered species of the world. Now they want to actually protect the endangered species, but they're not only doing this listing. So there must be something more. So I think it should be A. So to identify zoos suitable for conservation practice, I go back again and go through it again. So here, if you keep reading, the WZCS estimates that there are about 10,000 zoos in the world, of which around 1,000 represent a core of quality collections capable of participating in conservation programs. So this is basically what they actually do. So I would rather then choose to identify zoos suitable for conservation practice. Now notice one thing. Notice that I went back and forth 2 times, and this is what you have to do. So the first time you go up, you need to identify where the text is, and then probably by that time you would have forgotten what the question is about. يعني عبين ما تلاقوا الكيورد هون على الأغلب حتنسوا شو تفاصيل السؤال. هذا شيء طبيعي, and that's why we have to go back and forth maybe 2 times at least to find out the answer. So the answer is B here in this part. Okay, now let's go to question 24. Why does the writer refer to Robin Hill Adventure Park? Now here this is easy because we have a name of something also, something identified. So the first thing that I want to find is Robin Hill Adventure Park. So I want to see where it was first mentioned. Now I can see it here. I just go back a little bit up. So Robin Hill Adventure Park, is there anything mentioned about it previously? No. So it's basically in this page. As you can see, Robin Hill Adventure Park. So I just need to get to know a little bit about how it was mentioned. So I just go a little bit previous to that sentence. So I just read here, for example, the greatly respected American Association of etc. has had extremely dubious members, and in the UK Federation blah 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 has occasionally had members that have been roundly censored in the national press. These include Robin Hill Adventure Park on the Isle of Wight, which many considered the most notorious collection of animals in the country. This establishment, which for years was protected by the Isle Local Council, was finally closed down following a damning report of veterinary inspector appointed, etc. So this was notorious. This is what a key word here. Notorious, it means famous, but in a bad way. So like they have a very bad reputation for something related to animals. And so if I go back to the choices again, and I read, why does the writer refer to Robin Hill Adventure Park? To support the Isle of Wight Local Council? No, definitely not. So I try always to eliminate the ones that are wrong for sure. This is wrong for sure. So A is definitely wrong. Okay, to criticize the 1981 Zoo Licensing Act? Maybe. To illustrate a weakness of the WZC document? Maybe. To exemplify the standards of the zoo AAZP. Now D is definitely wrong. A is definitely wrong. So I'm stuck with B and C. So I need to choose between B and C. Now here, this is probably the correct answer. Why? Because they didn't really actually talk about Licensing Act 1981. And it's not really strongly related to Robin Hill Adventure Park. So if I look at this to illustrate a weakness in the WZCS document, I go back a little bit, again to the text, the same text. So it say, had members have been roundly censored in the national press. So it says here that what? That this WZC document has what? A naive faith in its 1,000 zoos. And they're giving the example as this one. They considered as a good zoo in generally speaking, and it turned out to be very bad, and it was reported and eventually closed. So I would definitely choose C as the answer. Now going to the last question, 25. What word best describes the writer's response to Colin Tudge's prediction on captive breeding programs? Again, the key word here is Colin Tudge. This is a very specific word, or actually a phrase, if you can say that. And I need to find Colin Tudge, and I want to see how the author, or what the author believes or feels about it. So I go back to the text. I look for Colin Tudge and where it was first mentioned. Now remember, we stopped in this paragraph here. So I just skim through very quickly looking for Colin Tudge. I can't find anything. I just go back. I go, to the next paragraph. And here is Colin Tudge. Okay, if I read a little bit previous to this one, I can't find anything, but that important. So I just read from here. Colin Tudge, author of Lost Animals, At the Zoo, etc., argues that if the world's zoos work together in cooperative breeding programs, then even without further expansion, they could save around 2,000 species of endangered land vertebrates. This seems an extremely optimistic proposition. So he says what? It's an extremely optimistic proposition. So he's not really happy with that. From a man who must be aware of the failings and weaknesses of the zoo industry, the man who, when a member of the Council of London Zoo, had to persuade the zoo to devote more of its activities to conservation. Moreover, where are the facts to support such an optimism or such optimism? So what is he doing here? He's actually questioning. He said like he's being too optimistic. So what are the basis for this optimism? So he's actually questioning that, right? He thinks that it's not really true, it's inaccurate, etc. So what is the best word that comes and can be chosen? Impartial, no, بمعنى متحيز. Prejudiced, no, not really, because he is actually questioning in a very unbiased way, if I can say that. Accepting, no, he's not accepting, he's asking a question. So probably the best answer, or actually for sure, the best answer is A, disbelieving. He doesn't believe him, he's questioning him. And this is how we end our recording today. وصلنا الآن إلى نهاية هذه الحلقة القصيرة. أتمنى أن تكونوا قد استفدتم. أتمنى منكم أيضا دعم القناة بشير سبسكرايب، وأن يعني إذا سأل شخص واحتاج الآيلتس أتمنى أن تقوموا بأن تدلوه على هذه القناة للفائدة جميعا. يمكنكم أيضا التواصل معي على الرقم الهاتف الموجود في الوصف في الأسفل، وأيضا التواصل معي عن طريق الإيميل. وتقبلوا مني كل التحيات. Have a good night. See you later. Bye.